Uh, I don't put a lot of weight on preseason rankings and all that. What I do know about our group is we have aspirations and expectations to be there in February and March. I think we got a long way to go. I think we have the pieces, we have the talent, we have the right players and the mentality. Now it's just putting everything together. Like I said, we got to continue to get better and better every single day. But I feel good about the 12 that we have. But our goal is to be sitting in those spots come February and March.
Last year at this time, everything was new, everything was a first, you know what I mean,
Yeah.
for the program and the coaching staff. This year, you kind of, have your sea legs a little bit better going into the season. How excited are you just to focus on basketball and finally get to tip off and make it just about basketball and the rest of that stuff is done?
Yeah, it's a great feeling, and it definitely feels different. And I think there's a level of comfort, amongst our coaching staff, amongst our returners, and now it's just putting all the pieces together. But yes, it has definitely been an off season where you can focus a little bit more on basketball, and where we want to continue to build this program and take it to new heights.
Based on what you guys learned from the two scrimmages that you guys had a chance to play, what has been kind of the focus on both ends of the floor and practices these last couple of weeks where you felt like you learned from those games that you guys needed to kind of work on?
Yeah, our scrimmages were really good. We got a lot out of both of them. Two different styles of play, two really quality opponents. So I felt good coming out of both of those, and what we needed to work on in practice over the last couple weeks, especially this past week. I think we've ramped it up even more. We've really broken some things down. I think also our chemistry is starting to really develop on both ends. And then we're continuing to add different things, and making sure that we have everything in place, for our first game. And so if we're in a certain situation, we've kind of gone over it already in practice, and whether that happens on Monday or whether it happens, 2 weeks from now, I feel really good about where we're at this point in the season.
So where do you feel like you guys are with lineups and rotations? Do you feel like that's something you guys will kind of continue to tinker with the more I think you guys get a few games under your belt and you guys get to see actual game minutes from certain players and figure things out?
Yeah, there was a lot of competition early in our practices. There's still a lot of competition. I think some things are starting to get a little bit more solidified. I think some of the scrimmages help that. A lot of people got to play in those scrimmages. Different lineups were thrown out in those scrimmages. So I do. I think there's a level of competition, but things are really starting to get solidified.
For most fans, this will be their first opportunity to kind of see the product on the court for the very first time. Outside of just beating Teal, like what do you want to see from your ladies, and what impression do you want to impress upon those fans?
Yeah, I can't wait for our fans to see this group and how hard they play, the passion that they play with. I think our style of play will be a little bit different. Hopefully, we're playing a little bit faster. Obviously, we're going to be getting the ball inside, but taking good shots with that. I'm excited for our fan base. I'm excited for the education game with all the kids coming out. I feel really good about the 12 women that we have in our locker room, and the role models that they are, and what an unbelievable, opportunity for the youth of Youngstown to come out and see our role models on the floor and how hard they're going to work and how they're going to dive on the floor for loose balls and how they're going to lift their teammates up and give them high fives. And our bench is going to be all over the place. So I'm excited for those kids to see that.
So you guys were particularly snake-bitten by the injury bug last year. In addition to the long-term injuries, different players, different time, and different time. Now that you guys are, approaching like full health, so to speak, how different has it been, having that full complement and rotation of players to kind of work with and, kind of adjust with?
It's great. People have subs, right? It's been really good in the scrimmages. People have been able to go hard in the time that they're out there and ask for a sub. And And when we sub, we don't miss much of a beat. And that's, hopefully the beauty of our team and the makeup of our team, and what we're striving to accomplish. So it has. I think our players are playing much harder because they know they can go harder, and they have a sub, and that sub is going to come in and play really hard too.
What's this experience like? Not just the home opener, but the education game for you and the players, because this is an uncharacteristically loud environment, and it typically doesn't happen this early in a basketball season.
Yeah, and I'll be really honest with you guys. Last year, it caught me off guard because I've done education games, games, but not to this level. I think our marketing department does a great job of getting a lot of kids here. We had close to 3,000 last year, and I think we'll be around 2,000 this year. And it was loud, and I wasn't ready for it. I don't think I did a really good job preparing our team for that. So we have already started to prepare for that. I think we'll be much more locked in and prepared for what we need to do, but also enjoy the environment and the excitement of what Monday is going to bring.
But last year, because of the injuries, a lot of additional players got a lot of experience and some additional minutes as a result of that. Do you feel like depth is something that this team is a strength for this team?
I do. Obviously, especially in the post. I think we definitely have great depth there. I think players can play a certain type of way, and not be worried about fouls and whatnot. They can play aggressive. I think we're still building our depth in some other areas, especially at some of the guard spots. But I do feel like we definitely have more depth, this year than we did last year.
Coach, you talked about like the hard-working mentality you guys have, the energy you guys have brought to the court. Do you think that kind of helps set you apart from other teams in the league, especially now that you have a full 12-team roster?
I mean, I hope so, but a lot of teams play with a lot of energy and effort. I hope our program, that's a standard, that's an expectation. We do that every single time we're out on the floor, and hopefully we do that for 40 minutes. And so that's the goal. Every possession, play as hard as you can, give everything you got, and hopefully, in the end of the game, in that fourth quarter, we're doing a little bit more than the other team.